Ramirez and the Homefront Rebellion. The taxi screeched to a halt at my gravel driveway, Afghan dust still clinging to my boots. I'd planned to surprise Mom with my early homecoming after 11 months deployed, craving my bed in our white cottage with green shutters. Instead, I faced a dog park, barking chaos where my living room once stood. 2 Labradors chased a tennis ball over my floorboard's ghost. A woman in leggings glared, yanking her spaniel from my duffel. My oak tree, initials carved pre-deployment, stood scarred in what was my yard, now branded Cedar Grove Community Park, HOA sponsored. A plaque preached harmony. My heart pounded louder than mortar fire. A jogger shrugged. Some deadbeat didn't pay taxes, so the HOA took it. He didn't know I was that deadbeat. Disbelief, not anger, hit. A bone-deep exhaustion. I'd survived ambushes, led patrols, saved kids from burning huts. Now, the enemy wore athleisure and wielded clipboards. I'm Sergeant Ramirez, a soldier who thought Cedar Grove was home. Hours at city offices revealed a nightmare. Records claimed I lost my land 6 months ago for tax delinquency. But I'd filed a military exemption before deploying. A clerk, barely looking up, pointed me to Susan Whitaker, HOA president, committed to standards. At the community clubhouse, Susan, perched amid self-awarded plaques, smirked when I introduced myself as 214 Pine Lane's owner. Flipping a folder, she said the lot was delinquent, unclaimed, reassigned per protocol. I cited my active duty exemption. She cut me off. Maybe you should have considered obligations before playing soldier. The room stilled. I named federal laws protecting deployed troops. She offered a lot by the trash compactor, cooing, "We can work something out, honey." I left, her smirk searing my mind. That night, in a motel, I couldn't sleep. This wasn't Afghanistan. It was dirtier, fought on my soil against neighbors I'd bled for. By morning, I called Javier Morales, a cyber ops buddy I'd saved in a firefight. He owed me. Hours later, he sent a dossier. Forged deeds, backdated HOA minutes, land deals tied to Susan's brother-in-law. The HOA faked my land as abandoned. Susan's emails bragged about flipping that grunt's lot and keeping Cedar Grove soldier-free, joking I'd salute and slink off. Rage sharpened my focus, not clouded it. A lawsuit would drag years. Susan had lawyers on speed dial. I needed louder justice. I called Colonel Marcus Reed, my old CO. Hearing my home was stolen, his voice turned steel. Send coordinates and their assets, quiet or loud. I chose loud. Javier dug deeper, finding the HOA claimed adverse possession, forged my signature, and sold my land to a shell company run by Susan's kin. Satellite images showed illegal expansions, dog park, clubhouse, sidewalks, on protected wetlands. Susan's emails mocked veterans, calling my house a shack. I pinned one beside a photo of Mom's porch swing, wondering if they'd burned it. They'd stolen memory, not just land. I met Judge Clara Hensley, a former JAG officer, at the courthouse. She reviewed Javier's evidence, forged documents, zoning violations, emails, calling it a criminal masterpiece. A lawsuit could stall, but a federal seizure for public service abuse was possible. Colonel Reed proposed Operation Homefront, a military training exercise on disputed land, framed as urban conflict readiness. Approved by the 212th Tactical Battalion, it would turn my lot and HOA properties into a simulation zone. Legal, audacious, perfect. Susan wouldn't see Humvees coming. Javier and I mapped illicit HOA structures. Dog park, clubhouse, Susan's rose garden. Military logistics set routes and landing zones. 3 days later, at dawn, Cedar Grove woke to diesel roars. Humvees rolled past lawns. Soldiers staked tents in the dog park. A Black Hawk buzzed the meditation garden. Residents gaped in pajamas, clutching mugs. Susan stormed out in a satin robe, waving a Cedar Grove's finest cup, screaming as engineers turned her clubhouse into a command post. An officer handed her federal orders for land investigation and occupation. She shrieked about sovereignty, face beet red. Spotting me in an unmarked SUV, she hissed, "You did this?" I nodded. That land you stole? Mine again, inch by inch. Soldiers cordoned off the clubhouse, pool, and garden, all on stolen or unpermitted land. Susan tried locking herself in the clubhouse. The county provided keys. Her wine fridge held MREs, her living room maps. Residents panicked, some waving pizza box signs, others calling news vans. An elderly couple brought me coffee. Confessing Susan's fines silenced them. They shared photos of my house, offering to testify. The tide turned. By noon, media swarmed. Susan's press conference flopped as cameras caught military tape around her HOA sign. She ranted about overreach, but cracked when asked why a veteran's home was razed. Her meltdown aired, going viral with hashtag Justice for Sergeant Ramirez. Javier traced 5 more fraudulent land deals. Susan's brother-in-law faced IRS probes. A red sign rose, Federal Training Ground restricted. Susan's empire was occupied, her petunias trampled. Soldiers drilled past stunned residents, drones mapped the land. Susan's kitchen hosted briefings, checkpoints blocked her allies. Inside the command post, I reviewed documents with a DoD officer, confirming my ownership and the HOA's crimes. They'd bulldozed my house without permits, paid by Susan's accounts. Susan tried rallying her board with a megaphone, but neighbours booed. An officer slapped an audit notice dissolving the HOA. Cheers erupted. Javier leaked Susan's footage mocking soldiers and bragging about fraud. I sent it to the press. I'm home. It exploded online, sparking arrest calls and veteran support. The VA condemned her. Civil rights groups offered aid. Susan's allies fled, her brother-in-law subpoenaed, her contractor snitched. 11 homes, including hers, faced relocation notices. At dusk, I stood where my living room was. Soldiers marked the foundation, clearing space to rebuild. Their salutes carried shared homefront betrayals. Judge Hensley dissolved the HOA permanently, stripping Susan's title. Weeks later, rebuilding began, funded by the VA and donations. Neighbours brought food, contractors, apologies for silence. Susan fled, her car stuffed with boxes, her name mud. Cedar Grove healed. Kids played, yards bloomed. A new civic group formed with a Ramirez clause protecting soldiers. I drove the first nail into the porch frame where Mom's swing would hang. The sound was creation. They stole my home while I fought for theirs. I reclaimed it, dismantling their world one truth, one nail, one soldier at a time.